Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for another installment of our Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series. What is Before the Snap? Well, if this is your first time tuning in, we first want to thank you so much for giving up some of your free time to watch our program today. And you're going to learn about what it takes to have a career in and around the NFL with some tips and tricks to get your foot in the door, what a job in the NFL looks like, time management, all those things to make you the best employee that you can be. And we're going to learn all about that today. And if you've tuned into this program before, obviously, you know you're in store for another excellent program. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth Education and Leadership Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, where it's our mission to honor the greatest of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and celebrate excellence together. And those values we promote, those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which made our 378 Hall of Famers the best football players, minds, and businessmen of all time, but it made them great people as well. Made them great people in their community, their families, and maybe made them even great employees of an organization. And these same values can make you a great student and one day make you a great employee of the organization that you end up in as well. Before we get started, some thank yous I'd like to pass out. First, I'd like to thank any educator, professor, teacher that shared this with their students or watching us in their classroom right now. We just want to thank you for allowing us to be a small part of your students' learning experience this year. And secondly, we have to thank the students. This program is here for you to start your networking journey. We want you to be able to reach out to somebody who's currently working in the NFL, ask them questions, sit down with them for 10 minutes and talk about their career to learn what it takes to have a career in the NFL. So as always, if you're watching us live today, go ahead and put your name and the school you go to right now in the chat. We want to see how many great colleges and universities we have tuned in today. If you have a question, go ahead and ask it as well. We have Nathan who's with us here today. He's going to be looking through all those questions that get asked. So make sure if you have a question, go ahead and put it there in the live chat. And we'll do our best to make sure we get it in as part of the program. If you don't have a question right now, that's okay. We're going to be constantly reminding you to get those questions in. But to start everything out, let us know what schools you're watching from right now all over the country. Finally, we have to thank our special guest today, Ms. Eniko Somogyi, who works for the Los Angeles Rams, and we're going to give you a little bit of background on her career because it is a very, very cool and interesting story. She immigrated to Los Angeles in her 20s from Hungary without speaking any English. Luckily, she found a job quickly and started immediately as a full-time nanny, feeling blessed to receive her AA diploma and green card during the same year. Her life changed quickly when her husband found out they were expecting their first child, and her aspirations shifted from wanting to be a detective and redirect the focus to computer science. With her husband in support, she graduated from the American Intercontinental University of Illinois after 3 years with a major in computer forensics. Combining her academic work and her work field experience, she's now thriving in the dynamic and ever-changing field of sports entertainment, wrapping up her sixth season as the IT manager for the Los Angeles Rams. Her role currently consists of developing the proper security skills and ensuring a strong foundation and expertise in the ever-evolving field of technology. And I'm just going to say right now, we're probably going to talk about things that I have no idea about today. So I am super excited and interested to hear all about Annie's career. Annie, welcome to Before the Snap.
Thank you so much. I'm
Uh,
really glad to be on this program. Very exciting.
We're super excited to have you as well. Never had anybody who worked in the IT field as part of this program, so we are interested to hear all about it today. So, first question we always ask is, generic top of the mountain view. Annie, what do you do on a day-to-day basis as the IT manager of the Los Angeles Rams?
Well, I first of all, I would like to tell everyone that I did not start as an IT manager like 6, 7 years ago. I We basically a group of three. We started out, and we just provide technical support to all staff members, including the coaches and executives. Every day we troubleshoot technical issues and software, hardware issues. um, there is no day where we did not work overtime. Just because we try to bring the team, IT infrastructure up to date, and that's had to be speed up. Our team stretched to pretty much 6, 7 people. Um, the organization chart would be from support, solution, and security. And I am actually, from being an IT manager, also concentrating on my current or future role, working with an ISO specialist, and my role is shifting to an information security analyst.
Awesome. Like we said, going to talk a lot of things that are way outside my skill set today. But it sounds cool. And obviously we talked about your journey, and it's a lot different than Nathan and I's. Nathan and I are from 20 minutes away from where we work. We grew up here. We know people from around here. We went to college around here. Your story is completely different. So I just want to kind of tell students. Obviously, their journey might not be as extreme as yours, but how important is it to kind of make sure you keep focused and keep those dreams alive to pursue what you want to do, because you went through a lot, not only coming to a brand new country but going through so many different fields of work they'll eventually being settled with right now. So what are students that might be going through some of the same challenges, what are some of the things you want to stress to them about it's okay to be going through these challenges, and in the long run it might help you out with your full-time job?
Yes, I was very young. I was around a college age when I figured out that the country where I'm living, I'm really not providing enough sources. Hungary, where I came from, was part of the communism, so we had a hard time to even just look for a vacation period, because there was very low income per for families. And so I would say very early we have to be on the work field. So imagine I came from a family who owned a few restaurants, but there was not enough ever that you work 12 hours or 15 hours, and you have to go and roll out the bed again early in the morning next day, and then just repeatedly show up at work. um, so I decided to move to United States. Obviously I learned French and German, but I did not learn English prior to my arriving, so I didn't speak any of that. That's a that was a challenging, but however, I would tell you, if you locked up with all those people who they speak the same language, you will learn quicker than using any tools at home, and try to adopt a new language form. You gotta be there. You gotta adopt the culture, and that's make easier the transition. And fit in, obviously. There is obstacles, yes. I was alone. I have to find friends. I have to be out there and networking. That's very important part of the college life also. um, there is you know soft skills, which is communication. So there was language barriers in the beginning, and I tried to find school education. How would I be able to, just come up to the speed and speak English within 6 months? Um, um, be aware, all the time that you're anticipating, things, and you have to sometimes just react very quick, and responding super quick to opportunities.
And my last question here before we throw it to Nathan for some student question is, obviously working in sports is awesome. When you think of jobs in sports, IT manager, to be honest, is not the first one that comes to mind. So, being able to work in sports, what do you enjoy the most about having a job like yours and also having a job that is centered around the sport of football and around sports?
Where I have to tell you the secret that I did not know when I got for my interview, that I'm going to work for an NFL team. And myself is very sporty personality. I'm working out a very long time and living my healthy habits. Um, I would say I have a secondary role during the game days, which I started about 3 years ago. My supervisor offered this role. It could be on the sideline during the game days, or covering the coach booths, visitors, and the home booths in the upper level. It's called the yellow hat role during the game days, and basically just oversees the functionality of the coaching staff communication system on a game day. That's including setup, test support, and breakdown. Um, I think that's the most exciting part of my job, one of the most exciting part of the job, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity, and I'm continue to learn every game day.
Well, it sounds like games could not happen without that role. And I'm sure the coaches would not be very happy if you weren't there being able to make sure that the technology was working for them. So it sounds like super cool role. And it goes to show that there are so many different kinds of opportunities. You could have a certain role with an organization and still be able to have such a big influence on an NFL game that you might not even think of when you obtain a role, for example, like IT manager. So that's enough for me. We're going to throw it over to Nathan Martin, the youth education and leadership coordinator here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, who's got some of our questions from our students. And I'm probably guessing correctly as he's going to encourage some of our students tuned in right now to get some questions in as well. So Nathan, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Jake, and thanks again for being a part of the program today with us. And yes, to our students, we definitely want to encourage you guys to submit questions. Let us know which school you attend, where you're watching from. Put that in the chat function so we can see that there on YouTube. Would love to hear from you guys as much as possible. But we did get some questions ahead of time, so I want to use those here. Our first one comes from a student at the Loyola University in Chicago. This is Brendan asking, how could someone in computer science get into the NFL? So can you maybe speak to the roles and the job titles that are available to a student with a computer science degree?
Roles. So as I said, the first of all, the support role, which I started out 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 7 seasons ago almost, and that's provide all technical support for all staff. There is a solution role where you are working with the cloud architect, and it's very interesting. You are researching and implement the latest greatest technologies, right? And there is a security role which has plenty of role to fill out, handle all cyber threats, dealing with spam, email spams, software requests, approvals, data governance, risk and compliance.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry, I don't
Oh,
want to interrupt.
and additionally, my game day role that could be, working with coach to coach communication equipments.
What I love about that is I think sometimes students get so locked in on maybe one job with their major, they think that, oh, I got to do this one thing. I know for myself, you go into sport management, and a lot of students come in and they think you have to be an athletic director, computer science. They might think there's just that one thing they can do, but you kind of just debunked that and showed there's so many different jobs and responsibilities and roles that can be filled by somebody with a computer science background. So hopefully that answers Brendan's question that he had sent in prior to the program today. This next question comes from Quentin from the College of Southern Nevada. Quentin never had a question like this on Before the Snap, so I think it'll be interesting to hear your response, just knowing your background is maybe not the most traditional background getting into the NFL and working in the NFL. And Quentin's question is, what would you suggest to an older student, somebody who's gone back to school? He puts, in their early 30s, on how to get their foot in the door when they're competing against maybe students that are 20, 21, 22 for some of the same jobs. What kind of advice would you have there?
First of all, my advice is you're not competing. You don't have to compete. I was in college and I graduated from college. I was 30 years old. Um, I attended with all the 20s kids, in the same classroom, and I didn't feel 30 at all. So that probably the first one, I didn't feel that I'm competing. I would say, just because this type of any type of job role requires, networking, connect with your teammates or classmates, going out networking, find people who you would able to ask, advice. They would advise you or mentor you. So I apologize. I try to explain that when I get into the college, and just because I arrived late, mid 20s, I had to reach out many, many times. And actually, I interviewed job roles, and I asked them questions that, that was my interest. And then I researched, and then I put it together, a document basically for myself, a little diary that which job role mostly interested me. So once you have that one, I reach out to another person. I remember I heard about him over the phone, and I asked about IT field. I didn't know anything about the IT field. Correct. I work with my family in a restaurant, so I needed to know that what field of the IT, information technology, system, how they fit in my personality. Do I able to troubleshoot a software or a hardware? So that was very challenging. And then when I attended the university, I was very surprised that I actually had classmates older, 10 years older than me, other side of the country, and some people was serving in the military.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that really encourages Quentin and other students that maybe haven't followed what the American traditional path would be, high school, college, get in the workforce, because everyone's story is different. Everyone has different circumstances and different reasons why they have to take the path they take. And I love how you kind of started out with, you don't have to view it like you're competing.
No.
And hopefully that's really encouraging to Quentin, hearing a little bit more about your story. We do have a question that came in from our live audience here. This is from a student named Abraham. Abraham wants to know, can you talk about maybe some of the experiences you had prior to joining the Rams in the role that you have, that kind of set you up for the success that you have now working in the NFL with the Rams?
Thank you. This is a really good question. Basically, when I graduated from the local college, I decided that I have to continue my education, mostly online, since I was expecting the baby. and I knew that I have to stay home. So after graduation, immediately, I created my resume and I tried to, try to find an internship. But basically, I was looking for an internship where, or fellowship where I would be mentored, and I didn't really look for in long distance. I knew it that in my field I have to be moving around, correct? So one day I received a phone call, and I supposed to cover an IT support specialist on his uh, at, at his work, and the job role would be a temporary situation where I would cover probably for 3 weeks or a month. I'm not remember. Um, Basically, I get to the interview. Right after the interview, they ask if I would able to start immediately next Monday. I admitted that sure, I will show up at work. um, it was very exciting because that was basically my first field job, and working with I don't know people. Those are the end users, including all staff, executives, and everyone else. But I remember I was very nervous. But right after the temporary role, I mean the temp role, they kept me, and I was working for that company, I believe, 3.5 years. Um, I was working with my coworker, so we would be a two people team, and that would be um, like I would be stay alone with the company just to challenge myself as a system admin, where I would be not able to delegate tasks. I would have to do um, all troubleshooting and all the field works. Thereafter, probably around that summer when the Los Angeles Rams moved to Los Angeles, I received a phone call that they would be interested an interview with me, and I dropped everything. I drove to the interview, and I accepted the job role.
That's amazing. And what I love so much about your background and reading your bio and hearing you tell your stories, it's really inspiring. I think so often in life, people have these obstacles, they have these hurdles that are put in front of them. And sometimes those things are good things. You talked about, having to figure out how to continue school with having your child. And it's like that's a good thing to have your child, but like you also didn't use that as an excuse to quit getting an education. And I hope that inspires our students that no matter what they're facing in life, whatever career path they're chasing, whether it's IT and computer science or it's something completely different, that they can at least hear your story and gain some inspiration to like keep going, keep working hard, never give up. And that's really what I'm pulling from this. And I appreciate you telling us this story and letting us in, giving us a little peek into what your life and your journey's been like. For now, I'm going to send it back to Jake. I want to continue to encourage the students. Keep asking questions. We want to hear from you guys. But Jake, I think, has a couple of questions at this point.
Yes, thank Nathan. And to the students, thanks for submitting your questions, whether it was ahead of time online or we got questions coming in as the program's going on. We want to thank you for engaging and getting those questions in. Annie, I want to talk a little bit about your job specifically in the IT world. Particularly with the Rams. Now, you said obviously, you've had different backgrounds and you came into this job as kind of like, your first sort of role. But as someone who's been in the world of IT for a few years now, do you see that your job as an IT manager for an NFL franchise is different than an IT manager who might work for a business, for a museum, for something else, or is that kind of world pretty much all the same, no matter what or where you're working at?
Yes and no. um, Yes, because you're working as a so you're working with your team. It's very important. The team members are skilled team members, and you're relying on each other. So very important to provide the same IT infrastructure or IT service for uh, um, um, a museum or a school system as well as for an NFL team. Um, I don't see a differences. Why would that not, have my, strength and skills, provided for a museum or a school system the same way as I do for the NFL. However, at the NFL, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to put it together.
Mm.
The significant at NFL that you have the season begin and the season ends, and then you have a little time off. And those time offs at school, actually, everyone is, attending school. Right after February, we would able to go for like 2 weeks vacations, where you students, or I remember, I just have to be back in a classroom or back online and keep study and submit assignments. As I see my daughter, working hard to success and succeed those grades that set as a goal for her or for everyone else. The job requires the same amount of input, mentally and physically. Your skills are super, the users are relying on you, so they need your help. There is no way that I would give a museum employee a less technical support than an NFL user from our marketing team.
Awesome. And I'm glad you brought that up, working, with so many different departments in the football side, the marketing side. How are you able to balance so much that goes on when I'm assuming you're doing stuff from, hey, our whole system went down to, hey, I just got locked out of my account. How do you balance the level of importance some things are, but while everything being very, very important? And what's that time management like? How are you able to balance your workday and handling if the internet crashes or if somebody just forgot a password? How do you balance things like that?
Uh, it's hard. It's the beginning. Anything you start is you have to adopt that and integrate it to your life schedule. You need time with the family. You need time for yourself. That's most importantly. But as I would say, I love my job so much that, if the end user forget a password on Sunday afternoon, there was not once when we are, hop on our computer and reset that password for the end user, because that end user is also Sunday afternoon on his computer and trying to achieve his workflow. There is 5 days of work days, but in NFL you have actually six with game days. But there would be the life balance, just whatever how you approaching to your personal life. So it's always depends, if you are by yourself or with your significant only and also working, or you have a children four waiting for you at home hungry by dinner. And the end user still need to reset the password.
So it's all about balance and time, and that it happens, in any job that you have, no matter if it's IT or youth and education, leadership, or sales. It all takes, certain skills and time management to make sure you're doing the best job that you can do. At the beginning of the program, Annie, we talked about what we believe in here at the Hall of Fame, and the main idea of our mission statement is to honor the greatest of the game and to preserve its history. So for those of you who don't know, at our core, we are a museum. We showcase the full timeline of the history of pro football from when it started all the way up till the most recent history that we can display here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So with that in mind, we want to do our best to showcase what we do here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and that's showcase the museum. So Nathan's out of the room. He's up out in the museum now in our Pro Football Today gallery. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the items we have on display there. And believe it or not, we have a pretty good way that we can relate it to being an IT manager. So Nathan, whenever you're ready, go ahead and take it away.
Yes, thank you, Jake. And as Jake was saying, we are in the Pro Football Today gallery. For our viewers that are watching today, this is the space that when a record is broken throughout the season, a big game takes place, we'll get some type of artifact, a jersey, a helmet, some cleats, a football, something from those moments to put on display for all the guests who visit us here in Canton, Ohio. So we've got stuff from players like Patrick Mahomes, extremely well known, recently retired Ram, and if I had to bet, future Pro Football Hall of Famer Aaron Donald still has things in this gallery right behind me. But the thing I'm standing in front of that we tried to relate back to IT and that world is not a Rams item, but this is actually from tight end Rob Gronkowski. Everyone who knows who Gronk is. He's on all kinds of commercials and whatnot. And I'm sure as fans, we all remember 2020, and we remember that year for a lot of different reasons. The COVID-19 pandemic being maybe the number one reason why we remember 2020 and the challenges that presented. But one thing out of that that we were able to persevere is we were able to play football, and we played an NFL season there in 2020, and players had to wear these COVID-19 contact tracers. So we have that on display just to kind of show that and show what players were having to deal with and people in the NFL world. But really, I'm curious, that was a piece of technology that was used to trace, how close players were in case they had come in contact with the COVID-19. And I'm curious, is there other technologies that you learned? I laugh now. I think everyone uses Zoom or they use, Google Meet, and they do these meetings virtually all the time. And that wasn't something that happened quite as much before. Is there things that you see in your job that as a result of COVID-19, technology is being used even more than it was prior to that?
Well, definitely, the conference meetings, they shifted to the users had to shift it to, working from home and remotely. There would be very quickly, we would have to license users, Zoom licensing or team license. That was very most, the two product was the most popular product where, probably a year after we lightly welcome the staff members back to our business office and to the football operation offices. And so for coaches meeting also, we had to set up specifically, using huge cameras and speakers, a Zoom room, which was, pretty challenging. You have to buy equipment, and same for the teams rooms. So we would actually provide conference. We have pretty much, almost 10 conference rooms at the business office, and we call them a little fish bowls because they are glassy. But we would have to integrate those tools really quickly to those rooms. Also, we provided just because was limited stuff welcome, to the business side. I remember we set up those phone booth like booths where you could have I would be there actually today if I would drive to the office early morning, but I wasn't trust on the LA traffic that I'm gonna make it by 9. So those booths are very essentials, during the pandemic, that you could actually take opportunity that you just sit there all day. We have a ventilation, implemented, I think a little AC or fans on the top. And just, individually, you have to sanitize them. Also, the players, they had to use the bracelets, I remember, each day. And imagine we just track the track
Yeah.
the players every day. They would lose the bracelets, then we have to, replace them.
Yeah. I know, speaking, for myself and probably a lot of members here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the pandemic really showed us how valuable our IT staff is. I'm sure you maybe felt some of that too. You sometimes forget about them because everything's working seamlessly, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we have to work from home, or I need to set up this Zoom room, and you're like calling your IT team, and they're able to help you out. So that was a tremendous blessing, I know, for us, and I'm sure you're able to help a lot of people there with the Rams. But I'm going to send it back to Jake. I'm going to get back into the studio there and check some more student questions. But for now, Jake, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. And thanks for our insight there into the museum a little bit. And I want to kind of piggyback off that question, Annie, talking COVID-19. We did our research before we started today, and we found some information that had a huge hand in helping set up the Rams house. That was the draft house, the COVID-19 draft, where you helped get all the equipment to the GM's house, Les Snead. So, kind of having that inside look on what happens during the draft and really making sure that everybody was being connected. Was it cool to be, kind of in that, knowing that there was a pandemic going on, and what were your feelings, to be a part of that project?
So I got opportunity again from my current supervisor, manager, that, hey, Annie, do you want to come and help us set up Kevin Demoff's home for the draft? And obviously, I wouldn't ever say no for that opportunity. And it was just amazing. So imagine set up network equipment, that are certified and secured, and monitor those equipments during the draft. That was a little bit, stressful. I remember the first day I would be just sitting very close by to his office, but day 2 and day 3, I gave him a little space, or Kevin Demoff, and I was just sitting outside the house and praying.
I'm sure there was a lot of that went on during those 2 or 3 days there. But like you guys said, it was important. Draft couldn't have happened without the impact that you had. And being in a game of football, you've been involved with the game now for a couple years and seen its importance. We're kind of biased here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We think football is the best sport out there. So for somebody who's been involved with the game, what have you seen the game of football teach those who play it, coach it, work in it, are fans, whatever it might be? What are some of those life lessons you've seen the game of football teach, not only the players that play for the Rams, but even the staff who's involved with the team as well?
Well, most of all, which I learned, is number one is teamwork, communication. There is, when your team wins or loses, that teaches resilience and importance of perseverance. You face the challenges. So I remember my the first, like, we attended in Atlanta the Super Bowl, and end of the game, I literally, I never cry, but I got some crying moment for a few minutes, and that was just a sad moment for a momentum, because right after, you just have you connect all, the game, either way you are winning or losing, you are going to be looking forward next season, as you just, for the permanent learning, which is you just achieve, again, if I emphasize on the resilience and intelligence, way to understanding what's going on. So again, you just connect with all the individuals, they are all from diverse backgrounds, and yeah, promote social interactions. So that's very important, for networking. Part of the networking, you're looking for a job role, or you are already, working in your a job role that you are dream of. You just have to make sure that you keep going.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is that all those values you speak on right there can all be transferable outside of the game to your everyday life to make you a better person and to make you a better employee. So that's a huge thing we always like to stress is that football provides the opportunity to learn those character values, to learn those items, to make you the best person you can be.
Yeah, and your best interest because you build a sense of where you belonging, right? So
Mhm. Awesome. I got one more question here before we throw it, back to Nathan for some of our student questions. And, we've talked a lot about your job and there's a lot of work that goes into it. There are some downtimes, but, it's pretty much a 365 day a year job. Um, but on the flip side of that, all that hard work is a lot of rewards. So when you look back on your time with the Rams, I know you mentioned the Super Bowl there. What has kind of been the coolest moment that you've gotten to be a part of? Was it a certain game you were at? Was it helping with the draft? When you're retired and your career is over, what's that one story you're always going to love to tell that you've been able to be a part of so far?
the best part is specifically for my stuff is, when you're building out a new office space, deploying the new equipment. So that's pretty much we constantly doing it. So we had the Legends office at Playa Vista, and the SoFi, the stadium build out. The coolest moment actually, as I remember, and I really will keep it as a memory, that during the time the stadium was built and I was sitting in my office, I never forget. And, they start hiring to fill out, roles for the SoFi Stadium. And so one of the infrastructure that was already spun up, on our end, the Hollywood Park Active Directory domain server. And I was very lucky that I could actually create the first accounts, user accounts in that server system, that infrastructure, and create their password, assign the job role, the department managers, and knowing it that they are there and they start, filling up those, required job roles at the SoFi Stadium. That's one of the best moments. Including building out the draft at Kevin Demo's, house, winning the Super Bowl eventually, in our stadium. That was a huge moment, and real lifelong memory keep, with me. But I would say, everything every day what we're doing, I love my team. They have a sense of humor, and showing up at work is just a wonderful thing. Socializing with your coworkers. Just think about, during the pandemic, which we just talk about it. You have to be, segregated, separated. You have to stay home. In your you work from your living room, your couch, your kitchen. Your dining table. So those are the best part of my job. And memories which I'm gonna share probably with my grandchildren one day.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up today, I want to make sure we get some more questions from our students. So I'm going to send it back to Nathan Martin here at the Hall of Fame for a few more of our students' questions.
Yeah, Annie. This is a question that comes from a student watching online there on YouTube Live. This is Matt, and they just want to know real, I guess, short and sweet. What do you have your degrees in? If you can kind of just tell them one more time, what are your majors in? Because he says he's trying to figure out what he wants to major in,
Oh,
and is interested in what majors you have your degrees in.
So when I started my local college education, I really desired to be a police officer, actually a detective, and so I aimed most of the criminal justice classes and credits.
Hmm.
Um, I believe right after when I mentioned that, I had coaching mentors who they provided enough information that what is this job role will, outcome and what brings with. Um, I was looking for a school that has the information, I mean, computer information technology classes, but in a diverse, level. So the forensics really acquired like provided skills, that I'm not really working in on everyday basis, So I always suggest for my people who I mentor or they reach out for help that look for those majors where, why diverse for the next, 25 years you able to find those certification that you boost your skills and move your roles, once a while. Um, but definitely, definitely look for, major that has more diverse and variety, openings for any kind of role that you like to try. I didn't really want to use, skill words here, but I'm troubleshooting. So if someone said SQL database, I run away. But I have classes. I had 3, 4 classes, and that SQL database, I know how to troubleshoot, but I don't really know how to use it.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably I would have to take, classes.
I think that's great advice, though, just when you're trying to figure out your major, about trying to make sure that it's something that has a variety of paths that can stem from that so that you have a lot of opportunity because you're looking at a career and a job where you might be using that education for the next 25, 30, 40 years. So I think that's great advice for our students. This next question comes from Griffin, a student at Lynn University. What would be your best piece of advice for a student that's they want to work in the NFL? They want to get their foot in the door. So, how do they make that good first impression so that they can get that first internship or that first entry level job working in the NFL?
Number one, pick your team and uh, try to visit, everything is online these days. So if you submit your resume 30 times a day, that's never hurt, anyone. There is each team I'm visiting, but for a different purpose. There is a career path, a link where you're able to discover if they're offering any internship, right?
Mhm.
LinkedIn is a very I don't use as a social network platform, but unfortunately, I rely on that
Yeah.
that platform once a while. Try to connect, those people, that role that you are aiming. So I would go probably the Rams or NFL itself. NFL has a couple offices. Any
Hmm.
team that you are desired to work for, and connect with people. Find the role that specifically my staff, and reach out and try to connect and send me your resume. Probably I would read it and consider if you are interested for an IT internship or we
Yeah.
have opening. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think you keep using the word connect there. I think connections are so important. The advice about getting on the website and just looking at the staff directory and reading those job titles and seeing what's out there so that you can really see what interests you. And then you can hopefully form a connection and a network with the people that are working in the fields that you have the most excitement about. So Annie, I want to thank you for being a part of the program on behalf of myself, on behalf of the students. You've had some great insight, a very inspiring journey and story that hopefully the students can learn from and be motivated by. But once again, just thank you for being on Before the Snap. I know Jake's got a couple of things to wrap up, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Ray.
Yes, thank you to everybody. Thank you to those students who got those questions submitted. Annie, got two last little things for you. Our first part is going to be a rapid fire segment, and then we're going to wrap up with one final question. So are you ready for our rapid fire questions?
Sure.
All right, number one, LinkedIn, great way to network or just another social media app?
Great.
Number two, GPA on a resume, keep it on or leave it off?
Leave it off.
Number three, social media accounts, public or private?
Definitely private.
Number four, jeans at work, all day, every day, never, or only on casual Fridays?
Sweatpants.
I love that answer. Number five, coin toss, heads or tails?
Heads.
And then finally, you score a touchdown. What's your go-to touchdown celebration?
A good burger.
I like that. I love it. All right. Final question here today. And Annie, we thank you so much for giving time out of your schedule to be a part of the program. We know the NFL season just doesn't take place 18 weeks in the fall and the winter. It's a truly an every day of the year job. So we thank you for taking time out of your schedule to participate. So our last question here for you today is we've mentioned a lot of great tips and tricks to students here today, but there was one thing that it was only one thing that they could remember. What's that one thing you want them to take away from today? It could be something we discussed already you want to elaborate on, or it could be something we haven't discussed yet. But what's that one thing you want people to take away from today?
Communication. Time management. Teamwork.
That's a simple way to wrap it up. This installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series today, featuring Eniko Somogyi, which I hope I should have said at the beginning. I hope I said that right. An IT manager for the Los Angeles Rams. Again, Eniko, thank you so much for being on Before the Snap.
Thank you so much.
We
Really
want to
appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you for giving us a great insight to your job and everything that you handle with the Rams, and taking time out of your program. For everybody who's tuned in today, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, everything for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We just had a big announcement here today. The Hall of Fame game tickets went on sale. So if you're a Texans fan, if you're a Bears fan, or you just want to watch some football in person, make sure you go to our website, get your Hall of Fame game tickets, and we'll see you here in August. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, anything with the Los Angeles Rams as well. See all the great things they're doing as we're leading up to the NFL draft, as well as in the community. We've got one more program left. Next Friday is going to be our last program for this school year. So we first want to get out and thank everybody who has participated and watched this year. If you're interested in a role in communications or you want to learn more about what it takes to work in the NFL, you're going to want to tune in. We have Bruce Spate, who's the VP of Communications for the Carolina Panthers. We're going to be talking to him next Friday as our last program. So for myself, Nathan, Jerry, all of our team here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Annie, thank you so much for being a part of the program. And everybody, we hope to see you next week.